Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. And I'm going to turn these on because I know that. There you go. So, before the live stream was cut off, and uh, I was pretty much trying to fiddle through the Wi-Fi connection, seeing what was wrong. We were talking about Catholicism and how it is. Man, I've got a bad headache. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Normally, I'm more upbeat, but I haven't really eaten anything in a while, and it's kind of it shows. I'm running on empty here, so please forgive me for that. Um, but Catholicism is idolatry. And I remember I was at the bus stop the other day, and I remember this guy approached me and started asking me about where I go to church. And he started inviting me to his church, and his church was a Catholic church. And I just right away, immediately, I just said no. And he told me like, well, why not? And I said because and I just told him the truth that Catholicism was idolatry. It is idolatry, and anybody who prays to a saint or to Mary, to anybody who isn't Jesus Christ is committing idolatry. And I got him thinking about it, and so before I knew it, it turned from him trying to convert me from to me converting him to what is truth. And I thought that was kind of funny. Uh, you know, I was kind of laughing at it. Bet you're right, Troy. Yeah. Catholicism is it's idolatry at its finest because um, it's what they've done is they've effectively taken out the second commandment, which was "Thou shalt not have any other idols before me." And actually, I think that's in Exodus here. I'm gonna look it up in Ten Commandments, Exodus 20, verse 1 through 17. Exodus. Let me see here. Too far. 20. Oh, here we go. Here we go, right here. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. All right, now this is where the commandments start on verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. No other God before him. Thou shalt not make any Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. He's basically telling everybody, you do not make any graven images and nor worship them or anything like that. And well, not we, but the Catholic Church has taken out the second commandment, and they've made the 10th commandment to be two. Let me see if I can find that. Let's not say this shall bear false witness. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, on verse 17, from Exodus chapter 20, verse 17, it says, Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, his ass, or anything that is his neighbor's. That's all inclusive into one commandment, but the Catholic Church has separated it into two, saying, Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions or house or whatever, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. And that's how they've been able to get around that whole images in the church thing. So, yeah, that's just thought I'd say that. And actually, you said something. What was it? Yeah, yeah. I strongly recommend the Veil Lifts. I don't even know your real name. I'm sorry. You probably said it in an earlier video, and I just simply forgot. I'm sorry. But I strongly recommend that you find a Baptist church, or take this opportunity to talk to the people within the Catholic Church and just lead them to Christ, knowing this truth, and just letting them know, hey, we shouldn't be praying to these images that we have here. We shouldn't be, asking, the saints for anything. And, I mean, this might just be a good little mission that God's put you to do to, bring more Catholics to the kingdom of heaven. So, yeah, I guess I just want to open up with that. Also, I wanted to talk about something that I've seen that's prevalent. Prevalent. I can't talk today. Prevalent. I'm sorry. I'm running on zero energy. Haven't eaten in a very long time. Sorry. Shouldn't even tell you that. So I was, I guess, in my friend's apartment because that's where I'm staying right now. And I was reading, and I remember my friend turned on this show, and I think it was like American Dad or something. And I mean, I can't really do anything or say anything against it because first off, it's not my place. Second off, I literally sleep on the couch in the living room, so it's not like I can just go to a different room. And as I was reading, I remember they were talking about like there was I guess sexual innuendos and stuff, and I thought, wow, like I never noticed. Well, I mean, I don't watch TV shows now, or I've stopped watching shows, like that for quite a while now. And I guess my friend, turning that those shows on and listening to them, I'm hearing them and I'm thinking, man, like I never realized how much sin is really in these things. Like, there's this, I guess, some scene where like the sister or I guess the sister was like I don't know, posing naked for like an art show or something, and I'm thinking like, my gosh, like this is for real. Like they're actually having this in these TV shows, and then it made me think like, how many people or how many Christians out there have sons and daughters, or have brothers and sisters, or have nieces and nephews, or just young impressionable kids that are watching shows like this and thinking it's okay and just like going about their day and saying, oh, it's fine, it's just a little humor. And because that's what my friends were trying to tell me when I guess I made a face like I didn't think about it, I just made a face like like I stopped reading and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then my friend just kind of cut in and said, come on, Troy, it's just a joke, they're not serious. I'm like, yeah, sure. And yeah, he didn't like the face I made when they were talking about stuff. And then they're cursing left and right. I've since my first or second video that I've made on YouTube, I've stopped cursing, and thank you for that. But yeah, you start to pay attention to more things that you don't realize. And then actually recently, um, I went to the Dollar Movies. And I saw this movie called Homes or whatever, and I thought it was just a cute little movie to because I'd been working a lot trying to like doing so many things that I haven't had time to just like you know um, I guess relax my mind. And so I thought I'd go see what seemed like a pleasant movie. Not no, it wasn't no nice little movie. They had it's terrible. They had all kinds of perverted jokes in the movie. I mean, I just couldn't believe that. I mean, like it's promoted as like a PG movie, but like the stuff they have in it is like my gosh. I'm not even sure what was the movie? It was uh see I don't it was so bad that I didn't even remember the name. It was like Holmes or something. Um it has the guys from Step Brothers, which gave me a tip off of what I was gonna see. But I thought, like, seeing the commercials for it, it didn't seem like that bad a movie. They were making fun, like they were or I guess yelling at bees, and I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. And I guess they're trying to solve a mystery. It seemed British. It seemed like a nice, fun little movie to watch. And boy, was I wrong, because they made all kinds of like terrible sexual innuendos. There was like a fight scene. Holmes and yeah, that was the one. Holmes and Watson. Yeah. Um, yeah, you hit it on the nail. It was Holmes and Watson. Uh, yeah, no, I mean, and that's the first movie I've actually seen in like a long time. I don't even remember the last movie I actually saw because I hadn't gone to. I mean, I don't do things. I don't go out and do things in the real world like as I normally don't go out um, to I don't know, restaurants or anything. I'm pretty simple, and I mean, I cook most of my stuff at home when I have a place to cook. Um, I'm pretty boring. Now that I think about it, I'm a very, very boring person, which isn't a bad thing. It's better than being like of the world and being all like up in the know and just I guess, going to different parties and stuff because I don't do that stuff. I'm a very, very, very much a hermit, which is probably not a good thing because that means I don't go out and see as many people as I would like to. But at the same time, I'm still recovering from, you know, my, the stuff that happened with tumors and such. But um, I want to make this an unusual thing where I can, make a live podcast and talk about stuff. But yeah, anyways, going back to what we were talking about before. TV shows, commercials. I remember in the middle of my friends watching a TV show, there was this commercial that came on. It's on Hulu. You know, like how they have the advertisements and they come up, and I think they were advertising something like condoms or something like just real like suggestive. I can't talk today. And as they were like talking about not really talking about, but like implying, like they're basically implying things with what they were doing with like items. I can't recreate what they're doing because I'm not gonna do that. But it just made me think like, wow, these people spare no stops to trying to get you to think about sex in that way. And then I decided to go out for a walk, and then as I was going out for a walk I started getting notifications on my Facebook, and I'm like, okay, who's texting? And so I looked at my Facebook, and lo and behold, I have a friend of mine that's posting, well, a status about how she feels of things I can't say. I just can't believe that, like, I can't believe that she posted that on her timeline, let alone like I tell you what, the enemy doesn't sleep. The enemy tries to get everybody's mind into the gutters, and it's like, wow, wow. And then, I'm thinking about it, seeing her status. I'm thinking like, how do I even talk? How do I even talk her out of like posting that stuff or thinking about that stuff? Like, how do I like there's feasibly no way for you to talk to your friends and talk them out. That's like talking to your friend who loves to drink like constantly and then try to, convince them, hey dude, maybe you should put that drink away and maybe drink some tea or something, or I don't know, chill in the woods or something, or something, something where, take them away from all that media that's teaching them um how to be like I guess a party animal, because the world loves that. The world loves when you're just in a state of like, you want to have fun all the time, being like, yeah, woo, and and pretty much nulls your mind or lulls your mind to sense of like self gratification 24/7. And I feel like I'm ranting. I'm probably ranting. Yeah, I'm sorry for ranting. I just it's just a lot of stuff happened like back to back, like just right on cue. Like no second was spared when I was trying to like, I guess, tune everything out. And like, I mean, I couldn't very well read in peace in my friend's apartment. I tried to go outside and walk around. My phone, I don't know why I brought my phone with me. It just started blowing up, and then my friend posted that stuff on her timeline, and I'm like, why do you do this? Like, what would make you want to post something like that on, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you, and then you want to ignore, but at the same time you don't want her to be posting that stuff for people to see. And like you want to put your 2 cents in and let your friend know, like, hey, are you okay? Like, you probably, I mean, how do you even approach friends and tell them not to like get lost in sinful stuff like that? I'm not going to say what she was saying because it's personal, and I'll just say it was of the perverse kind of stuff that you just don't post. And best thing to do to get people to stop posting bad things on Facebook is to tell them that if they're looking for a job, I have having anything inappropriate online could prevent them from getting the job. Yeah, that's a good thing to say. I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even thinking about that. But she wasn't posting anything like those chat rooms things, trying to, because I get a lot of notifications from those things, and I just block them, or I report the account and then I block it. And for some reason, everyone that you block and report, like 10 more come up from somewhere and just start, it's like I don't know if these girls are like are trying to do this as their job, or like they don't have any other means, literally any other way to support themselves, but that's what they're doing, and it's kind of annoying. After a certain point, it's annoying. I think I have like 100 pokes from random people I don't even know, that I don't want to know, and um, I don't know. I feel kind of beaten because um, I don't know that was good though. What you said there, telling them that, if they're trying to look for a job, posting inappropriate stuff is gonna probably not help you with the job. But a lot of people on my Facebook are very thick-headed, and they will not listen to what I'm saying, and they'll probably just laugh it off or say, "You don't know," or they'll think I'm shoving my Christian values down their throat and be like, "Get that away from me, get away from me," they don't want to hear it. So it is what it is. And I haven't read a single scripture since live streaming. So, the lifted veil. Well, what was your name? I'm sorry. I like to address people as by their first names. It just seems, it seems more personable. It seems more personable, you knowing my name, and, me knowing yours and stuff. Um, what's Matt? Oh, okay, Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. Cool. So what's going on? What's going on that that you're struggling with? Because I mean, I'm struggling with how to talk to my friends about the sinful natures that they're getting into. Like I have two friends that are in this card game. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh or something, and like they play that like religiously, and it's not a it's a very devilish game, very very devilish game, and I'm just having trouble with voicing that to them without them shutting me out completely and not hearing what I have to say. But at the same time, I want them to know the truth, but whether they know the truth or not and act on it is their own, you know. And then watching inappropriate shows with suggestive, you know. I mean, there's only so much you can say. I don't know. I'm only human. I'm just one guy that doesn't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to um I'm reading. You know what? Actually, I read the whole book of what was it? Where am I? I read the book of Joshua. Yeah. From page 305 in my Bible. It's like page 305. Oh, you can't even see it. All the way until like 341. 341. Yeah, and it goes over the whole life of Joshua, and I'm actually in the book of Judges now, and it's some pretty crazy stuff. There's a king that was actually approached by or Midianite, that was killed by Ehud, or what, Ehud, Egol. Let me see. Eagle. Well, I'm not gonna find the specific place in it, but yeah, there was a part where the this guy Ehud had tricked the king. I guess he was a Persian king or something, to have hear what he had to say, and he was left-handed, so he had his sword in like his right side, with his girdle or whatever. And he asked him, or he said, "I have a message to you, from you. I have a message from God to you." And the king's all like, "Oh, really? What is it?" And then he stands up and he just draws a sword and just thrusts it straight up into his belly, whatever, and it just like consumes the whole thing. And I'm just like, "Whoa, that I didn't expect that." Sorry, my friend's texting me. Are you at the apartment? Sorry, I don't mean to be cutting into. I promise you, I'm friends asking. He's asking me if I'm at the apartment. I'm gonna tell him no. Negative. No. Come on. Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. All right, you said something. None of us know what we're doing. Book of Joshua's good. It's been a long time since I've read it. Yeah. Well, I read it. I read the whole book of Joshua yesterday, and I'm reading Judges, and I know that Samson's in the book of Judges, probably near the end, or right? Judges, I think, um, because he was a judge sent unto Israel. Catching up on an old video. Cool. Also, nice to see you again. Um, you know what? I want to say he was in the book of Judges, but maybe not. Maybe he was in the later book. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? With Samson. Is there any way you can live with your grandmother rather than your friends watch? Oh, live with your grandmother watching this stuff. I can't because my grandma is in a nursing home and she's too far gone with dementia. So, I mean, when I went to go visit her, she was basically asking me the same question like 7 times in a row, not realizing that she had asked me the same thing. And, you know, my aunt I mean, she can't really take care of my grandma full well because my aunt's, she works, she just works, a lot. And so grandma's just left by herself and she forgets to eat sometimes. And so, yeah, I know it was really tough because I'd seen her go downhill, and now I don't even know how she is because she's in a nursing facility. I just don't know where. I don't even know what it's called. My aunt just told me that she's there, and so I haven't even been able to visit her. I don't even know where she is. So yeah, no, I don't know. She is. She's really awesome. Um, when I had nobody, I want to talk about my grandma. Not she got me all thinking about her. So when I was like 9, whatever, I was in the foster care system. I was 1,000 miles away from here, and I was over in Colorado. And I remember being in that home. I was the youngest and the smallest kid there, and I remember I used to get beat up a lot, and I didn't like that place at all. And I mean, the only thing I liked about it was that my foster brother Jordan, who was the real son of my foster parents, he would always stick up for me because he was 17. Whenever he'd see the other kids trying to beat me up, he'd say like, "Hey, you don't mess with Troy. If you mess with Troy, they mess with me." But the other kids would always, try to mess with me when Jordan wasn't around or anybody was around. But anyways, so my grandma found out where I was, and she threw a piece of mail that shouldn't have even gone to her in the first place. It had the wrong name, wrong address, wrong everything. And even still, my grandma was like, okay. And so she went to Colorado and talked to the courts. They did a background check and everything, and then they okayed it and said okay. And so she got guardianship of me. Now she didn't adopt me, like legally. She didn't adopt me. She just was given guardianship of me. So technically, I was still ward of the state, but I was living with her. So that makes sense. And so I came back here to San Antonio, Texas, and I lived here from 10 years old until I was like 18. And the whole time, she could have sent me back anytime if she wanted to, but she didn't. And everybody was kind of like not really liking. They weren't really liking my presence here so much. Um, but I kind of, I mean, what else can you do when you're a kid and you don't have anything? Can't wait to hear about her. You're gonna hear about her. That's an amazing story of how you got told to stay with her. Yeah. I didn't even think that I would be with her either, because like when I was in the foster system or in the foster home, I prayed, and it's funny because at that time I was a believer in God, um, and I had asked God. This is around Christmas time, like just before it, maybe like a month, so November-ish, 2000, November 2000. I remember that, and I had asked, I pleaded with God and asked him if he could take me away from this place and let me live with my grandma, and so no time wasted. Less than a week later, my grandma shows up and talks to the courts, and I had no idea until Carolyn, my foster mom, announced it to the table when everybody was there, and she said, "Okay, so Troy's grandma is in Colorado right now. She's, doing a background check, and Troy's gonna be living with his grandma because they were actually wanting to adopt me, which was scared me because I was like, oh man, I don't want to be adopted here because that means I'm gonna be like everybody's punching bag for the next few years, and I don't want that. Um, so yeah, I went back to San Antonio, and when I got back, I got back to the airport, and I was introduced to my other two cousins who were close to my age, Eric and Jacob, and they were actually. See, I was a little smaller than I should have been when I was about 9, turning 10, and they were. We looked like we were around the same age, even though we were maybe like 3 years apart or so. Um, so it kind of worked out because then it was like I had brothers sort of for a short time. I met my grandpa, and he was something. He was really, he was strict, but he was loving. He had good lessons to teach you and stuff. And he was a godly man. He always has a Bible out. And every time I came home from school or something, he'd always say like, "Hey, Troy, come here, sit down." And so I'd go and I'd sit down with him, and he'd just start telling me about, like when he was younger, or he'd tell me stories from the Bible and stuff, and some of them stuck, some of them I kind of like dozed off, and I'm not proud of ignoring some of the stories he told me, but just gotta tell you the truth. And that same year that I came back to San Antonio, I'd met my father. I think it was close to April or March. It was Easter, and my grandma took me. Well, first he came by because he needed like a tool or something, and I guess Grandpa didn't really like him coming over because he was scatterbrained or whatever. And I guess I met him then, but I didn't really like meet him because he was like in a rush. He just came by to pick up a tool, then he just got it. He was like, "All right, thanks, mom," and he leaves, and I'm just like, okay, you know. I didn't think much of it. It was just kind of like a fast like you know. And then a month or two later or so, my grandma asked if I wanted to go meet my brothers, and I'm like, I have brothers. And she's like, Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you're gonna see your dad too. I was like, I got one of those. So we go to the east side of town, like Rittman area, and we get inside, and my stepmother, unfortunately, she is a devil worshiper. I don't mean that as in like she's mean. I mean she literally is a devil worshiper. She messes with witchcraft and all kinds of nasty stuff. Which begs the question why my dad ever married her. I never understood that. I never like I think about that and I'm like, why would you marry somebody who is a devil worshiper? I don't understand that. But his life, not mine. And he's actually the reason why I never got married, why I never stuck with any woman. I was like, no, I'm good. And my grandma tried to set me up with a girl in church all those years, and I was just like, no, I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need that. Yep, he did. Yeah, yeah, he knows her. But so yeah, no, I met my brothers, and my brothers' names are Aaron and Joshua. Joshua changed his name later on, but Aaron and Joshua were at the house, and I remember my dad came inside. Our dad came inside, and he said, "Hey, kid, you want to see a movie?" And he popped in like Pokemon 2000 or something, and then he's like, "All right, well, I gotta go," and then he leaves, and so I'm just like, "That's the same guy that was at Grandma's house." So So that was him, So there was very little explanations. There was like very bare minimum, just like I had to piece it together with my 10-year-old mind with what was. So it's like, oh, so this is the guy that was okay. So I had to think a lot when I was younger, and he had to work a lot because he worked at Kelly or something, and he did do what he could, but personally, I think he messed up with marrying a devil worshiper. Like why would you do that? I don't understand why would you would do that. Um, Everybody tells me that he wanted to fix her and stuff, and I still don't. I don't buy that. That sounds mean of me to say, but that's just I'm sorry, just. me now, if because supposedly he was a Christian. He loved God a lot. And he used to write music for God a lot, and I hear that he was good, but I'm better, or was better, and is better. I don't understand. Yeah, how do people get into devil worship? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. That's just that baffled me. That really baffles me how dad could have gotten with somebody who was a devil worshiper. I mean, it wasn't like she was nice and then she turned to that like throughout. I mean, she was like at that moment when he met her, she was into that stuff, into witchcraft and things. And like you think that a Christian man would steer away from somebody who was doing that stuff. I mean, of course you want to like convert them, you want to get them away from doing witchcraft, but at the same time, uh, don't be marrying somebody who's into witchcraft, like don't what why are you doing that? So, but he did work a lot. He did, he was a hard worker. He made music for God. See, I'm just wondering what is the science behind Jesus turning a few fish into a lot? I don't know. That was a crazy feat he did with the 5,000. I think it was 5,000 men, and then along with women and children. So there was quite a bit more souls than just 5,000. But still, the fact that he just fed them with, and I don't know. I would love to know. I would love to know myself, but I don't. Um, I mean, Jesus is so amazingly incredible. Yeah, he can just at any point he could just turn himself solid and then turn himself transparent, so you go straight through him, and then you're like, what the? And then he turns solid again. Then he can like you don't even have to. It just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Yeah, what a man. You know, there's times when he could, and I think the apostles. Thomas actually talks about this in the Gospel of Thomas and John and Mary. And because I read a little bit about that, and because that made me interested. There was a lot of stuff that I got to see that didn't really like. There was stuff that was left out of the full composition of the Bible. The Bible is true 100%. Also some texts that talk about stories and even stuff that isn't talked about in the stories of Jesus encounters. Because I mean, well, obviously because in a book that's set in for the world to know, there you can't include everything that's ever been said or done in history, by especially by Jesus. Jesus. I mean, for all you probably walked on many occasions. You know, we just know about the one where he was out in the Sea of Galilee, or is that right? Sea of Galilee? And there was a storm and stuff, and he called out to Peter, and Peter wanted to go to him, and I guess Peter lost faith for a second. He was scared, and in an instant, Jesus being here, and Peter's trying to come, and he starts sinking. In an instant, Jesus is there lifting him up, and he's just like, oh, you have little faith. And there's just stuff that we don't even, I don't even like. You just can't explain it. There's just no way to explain it. Yeah, yeah. There's just no way to go into words about it. Like you know, if Jesus really wanted to, he could have just walked on air above the ground, so he wouldn't leave any footprints. Just because. I have a picture of the Sea of Galilee by my bed. Really? I don't even know what the Sea of Galilee like looks like, at least nowadays. Um, I've never been. I yeah, I didn't even bother to look it up on Google Images. I'm gonna see if I can look it up right now. Sorry if I .com. I've never been. Yeah, me neither. Never been to Sea of Galilee ever. Let's see what that looks like. Sea of Yeah, I'll tell you this much. The oceans were a whole lot like lower 2,000 years ago than they are right now. I'm sure you already know that, but so like with the flood with Noah, what that did was that moved water out of the crust, because there's water in the crust and there's water in above the firmament, which was that, of course people are gonna start arguing, night and day about that. But just know that there was water that was within the crust and without the crust, and it just came together, and now we have the oceans. And that covered everything. Again, there was no mountains at the time. There was no large, like Everest wasn't there before the flood. But after that, then God caused the grounds to, make. Did we go to the moon? Oh, I mean, uh, I, sure. I didn't ask about that. I didn't, that didn't really. I wasn't thinking about, So did we go to the moon? Because I mean, what does that really have to do with Jesus? I mean, that's humans trying to, do the impossible and say we can go to the moon. Let me see this. Sigali, glad you are doing this chat. Oh, thank you. I want to do this every Monday because it's good to talk about. Wow. Okay, so I'm at this Sigali here. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's a lot. Actually, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Huh. There's a whole lot of different images, and it certainly looks different. I mean, I've never been there. I'm saying I've never been to the Sea of Galilee, but just what Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it looks different. I mean, obviously, because we're it's photos of nowadays, but some look crystal clear. There's one that has there's mountainsides there. Yeah, but yeah, so a long time ago, you could have walked across Alaska into Russia, same as you could have walked from like Asia into what is it, Madagascar? Is that what it is? Or yeah, I think that's the continent that's near it. You could have walked from the UK into Scotland, because the ocean tide wasn't like it increased over time, so it was a whole lot easier for you to go from one continent to another because the ocean levels just weren't simply they just were not at the levels that they're at right now. I mean, um, I was a Catholic once, but I'm just a follower of Jesus. Yes, yes, Simon Samut. That's an interesting name, Simon Samut. We were talking. I forgot what we were talking. It was about, yeah, that's right, my father, because we were going over story time. Story time. Right arm, right arm, Simon. Right arm. Oh, you mean right on, but that's how I see myself too, Simon. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, we're looking at Sea Valley. But yeah, no, getting back to the story with my father though. So I met him all of like a handful of times, I think all like three. And I remember my grandma got a phone call from the hospital that he was in the hospital because he had an aneurysm. And I went to the hospital, and like my grandma took me to the hospital, and they pretty much told me like, hey, do you want to say anything, he's not going to make it through the night, do you want to say something to him? And yeah, they basically put me in a room with a guy in a comatose with like half his head being purple and wrapped with bandages and stuff, and I had to say something, and I didn't know what to say, so I just kind of I I just told him I'm sad that, I didn't get to know him, but, he's in a lot of pain, so please leave. And, I just hope that wherever you're going after this is a nice place and, just, you know, go in peace. My brother married into the cult like Muhammad did for money. Ooh, no. I'm sorry. Um, yeah. It's never a good thing when, your brother or sister or somebody is close marries somebody who's in a cult or a mafia or a gang or Satanist, because it affects everyone around you, like especially your kids. If you have kids, man, and actually there's a good testimony from John Ramirez. He was a former Satanist, is a former Satanist. He was a Satanist before, but then he changed. He met Jesus, I guess through a vision, because he got to see hell, and Jesus brought him back, and he basically changed his life. And yeah, no, it's powerful testimony. So what do you guys want to talk about? Because I feel like I've been ranting, about my childhood life, and I'm sure that gets boring after hearing it for, you know, um, a little bit. So let's see here. I saw it was John Ramirez a long time ago. Yeah, he's a good guy too. He's really, I mean, of course, when you're lied to, and I mean, he was forced into that stuff when he was a kid. He didn't have a choice. His mom and his father were deep into witchcraft, and I mean, he had no chance. And I can't say that now because he was shown the light. Want to hear more about things? You asked Jesus, and that he answered. Okay. Um, Let me think. Me too, Kathy. So I asked about Adam. What did he want people down here to know? Mm. So he wants us. That sounds very generic, and I'm trying to be as non-generic as possible. But forgiveness is it's our Achilles heel because we can say that we've forgiven somebody, but deep in our hearts we can hold a grudge or hatred or even just that little spite and say, and then we just kind of walk about our day and just leave it at that when that's what's holding us down. Um, I did ask about Adam though. That was interesting. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Now you want to talk about something crazy. The Nephilims were something that just didn't. They seemed like something out of a movie. Um, these things looked like, I don't know, like just half human giants. Um, Dinosaurs too. I did ask about that. I mean, when it came to no flood, I really didn't care because I'm selective. I'm sorry. I just some things I care about, some things I don't. But I did ask about that, and um, see what else did I ask about? I asked him. Now this is gonna sound bad, but I asked him how many hairs I had on my head because I was just trying to be. I don't know. I don't know why I asked what I did, but I asked just little minuscule stupid stuff like I that asked him that. So with Adam, I didn't really get to see. Oh, he didn't answer me. He didn't tell. That wasn't something I needed to know. I don't know how many are on my head, but he got a good chuckle out of it. He was I guess laughing because that's something that a kid would ask. Growing up, like how many hairs do I have on my head, or how many hairs do I have on my body, or how many cells are in my body? Like just things that you think of, and obviously I didn't get. He does have a sense. Yes, he does. Yeah, because he didn't really tell me how much, but he just said as much as the father allows, as much as the father. And so I'm just like, oh. But I could sense that he was laughing inside. What ways did you test? Because you said you asked him to prove himself. Yeah, I did. Um, the whole resurrection thing, coming back to life and being, like beaten to a bloody pulp, and I mean, I'm sorry for seeming like that guy, but I was very much doubting Thomas and just asking questions like, how did you get raised from the dead? And on top of that, how were you able to meet with many different people like at the same time, like seeing Thomas and then seeing John and then seeing just different people in different places, like very, very close, like as I mean, because if you think about it, that's being in like three or more places at the exact same time. And He just answered that with just a simple, like being here and then seeing him over there. And it's like, wait, so you're there, but you're here and you're talking to me here, but you're also talking to that person there. And you're having these simultaneous conversations at the exact same time, having these full bodied like conversation. How are you doing this? And then again, it's like you just understand you can't understand how grand he is, but you also understand how amazing that is because it's like he's here, but he's also there. But then he's also over there with that person. And he's also over there, and they're having these full. He himself is having these full body conversations with these many people at the exact same time. It's crazy. It's like I why doesn't he appear to more people now? I did ask him that. I have prayed for him to show himself to me. Haven't seen him yet. Yeah, omnipresent. So I did ask him, because I think that was a video I made before, like last year about, why don't you just like if you showed yourself to me, why don't you show yourself to like everybody else and pretty much give them the whole rundown and tell them like what's up. And he answered that with like a simple like again what I told you about like just straight immediate thoughts. It wasn't like a conversation like me talking to you. It was more like just immediate like understanding of what he was saying. But putting it into words now, it's like, yes, he could show everybody, but he's not going to show more than what is necessary. Man, how do I put this into words? So some people, what part of the U.S. will be safe in? Oh, no, no place. There's no place that will be safe in the tribulations. The tribulations are going to be like this worldwide. It's going to be a scary time to live in because um, ISIS is going to pretty much be offing people left and right. Leaders are going to be hunting Christians. We haven't seen anything like this ever. I mean, we've seen genocide and things, but not to this degree. There's no safe area. I hate to say that, but it's truly. I believe without seeing, yeah, seeing the people. So I don't know what category I fall under. Um, when he was like, I guess explaining it to me with his thoughts, but I did know that there was differences. That there's people who can be moved and swayed by him showing them signs, not really signs, but just showing them the truth, knowing that there's some who have a good heart and intentions. Of course, you're wicked on the deep down, but you're trying to actively do good unto others, but you still don't believe yet. Those are the doubting Thomases. I guess that's where I fall under, and I guess I just answered my own question. So he gives you that information. But for those who believe without seeing, not having to see, they're blessed too. But he doesn't really need to physically show himself to you because he knows that you have accepted him, and of course he's using you. He's going to use you in your life, and you're going to do amazing things for the kingdom. It's just he doesn't really have to like physically tell you. Like with me, I'm stupid. He's got to walk my hand with me and say, okay, son, this is what you got to do. And because I'm dumb. um, that's the best way I can put it. Tell us more, your purpose, plus counter right. Yep. So I guess I just got to convince more atheists. My demographic is the young kids that are just swayed by, what is it? I had to search so intensely to find him. It was very painful. Very painful. I'm sorry about that. Well, in what way? Well, first I'll answer Kathy because she said, tell us about the purpose. The purpose was so that I would be able to persuade some of the atheists out here in the world. I don't know how because I still asked him that, and I said the only thing I know how to do is music, and like, what do you want me to do? And he just it's kind of so. Somehow I'm supposed to sway atheists, hardcore atheists who are young, around my demographic age, and I guess they're just supposed to see what I'm doing here and see how I'm living my life just out there, not really in videos, but just out there. If they come to these videos, then awesome. But more than likely, no, they're probably gonna, I'm gonna run into some atheists out there in the real world doing things, and they're gonna see that I'm living with peace in my heart, and they're gonna say, "Hey, I want that. "Hey, how come you're so calm? I feel so suicidal every day." And then, I just let them know, like, "Well, it's because I know I have life." And they're gonna say, "Well, I mean, I'm living right now, but I feel like I'm dead." I say, "Well, that's just because," and I just explain to them. And so, God's gonna use me in whatever way He sees fit. I don't know the full picture of it yet, and I don't know when I'm going to die. I know how, unfortunately. Well, it's beautiful, but it's also terrifying, because nobody wants to know how this world comes to an end, how your end comes. No, like, nobody wants that. Um, ask anybody out there. You'd much rather be completely in the dark about it and just say, I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I don't. And then the last second you learn, you're like, oh, that sucks. But then, like, you're not living in that constant thought in your mind saying, man, one day that's gonna be how I go out. Like, that's something. Sorry, you were not stupid. Well, I feel that way, but yeah. I went through Eastern religions, yoga, Buddhism, a bunch of syncretic stuff. What's that? Syncretic. I got extremely confused. It actually caused mental torment in a way. I would imagine so. That does seem like you'd be torn, in different directions. But God saw me seeking, and so He did reveal Himself to me, but not physically, and it was through an extremely painful emotional situation. If you'd like to elaborate, I mean, because we're all just sharing, what our experiences are. It's no different. I'm just sharing what I saw and things that I asked. I did ask about Paul because that was something, and just and that actually answered. So that answered like two or three questions at the same time, because seeing that with Paul and then seeing Stephen, and then Jesus being there and accepting Stephen, and then I'm just like, wait a minute, wait, that's that's you, but like, wait, what? When are we? Not even where are we, but when are we? And so that answered a whole bunch of questions for me, like in that simple act of, let me see, I know I will give my head for Christ. Well, that's very admirable, but for those of us who, it's just not a fun. It's not a fun. You know, you pray that you can do all that you can for the kingdom, and the lot that you're given, you just kind of have to, you have to roll with it. But I do admire your dedication, you know, because those that are elected to die for the kingdom, well, kudos to all of us. They got to do that. Daughter of God. That's because if it's not Jesus, it's deception. Yes, yes. Oh yeah, that's another thing too with the preachers, because I did ask about that. Like how come there's all these preachers that are acting like they're your servants when really they're just getting money and stuff. And he showed me that there's a lot of wolves in sheep clothing. Now, those are the ones he was talking about, with the preachers that are putting on a big show and saying like, oh, God is asking you to send money to the church, and like people like Joel Olstein. I hate to be pulling names up here, but that's they're perpetrators of this. And I think I guess his name just really rings up. I don't know any other names that come to mind, but they and actually I have a friend who told me about a time when him and his wife had gone into a church that was sermoned by Joel Olstein. And mind you, Joel makes quite a bit a year. And they were down in the luck, homeless, and they had, after the service, they went up to him, and of course, he had a lot of people, like waiting to talk to him. But they finally got to him, and they asked, like, "Hey, is there any way you could give me and my wife like $5 so we can eat something? 'Cause we haven't eaten in like a day, and this and that, and we just don't have any. We're down on our luck." And he just basically told them, "I don't have any money for you." And then he just turned around and just walked away. And so that was pretty. That's pretty sad, But change has to come within the heart. We can't just expect to be changed For people who are thinking that they're seeking the truth, or like they want absolute proof, and they're just normally you hear this from people who are intentionally evil to others, or don't really care what causes others harm. They're just like, well, if I don't see it, then it's not. They just they give off much different than somebody who is trying to do good to others, and they see that the world is corrupt, and they're like, man, I don't know. I mean, if this world is this messed up, then I just want to be a part of it. They're different attitudes. But for those people who are of a perverse generation looking for a sign, knowing their evil deeds and continuing in their evil, they're not going to see a sign because they're why would Jesus show himself? Why would God show his son to someone who is intentionally evil on purpose, knowing that causes pain? That's another thing too, because I asked him why he doesn't just show himself to everyone, and he just let me know why would our father send truth to somebody who doesn't want to hear the truth? Why would he tell the truth to a liar? Or how would I word that? Someone who seeks to benefit uh, their own life, who seeks to benefit their own life at the expense of others. Why would you give somebody the answer when they don't want to know the answer? Like they just want to save their own skin. They don't care. They will they'll use somebody, abuse somebody. They'll do all kinds of stuff. And if you tell that person the truth and say, hey, your deeds right now are doing bad, like you're gonna go to hell if you continue to do this. First off, they're probably gonna laugh at you. Second off, if they did know the truth, they would just be faking it. There would be no point to it, because at the end of the day, they're still going to be routinely evil. They're going to continue to be evil in their own ways. They will not change at all. They will still stay in their sins. Um, and but a lot of people are called. I'm not saying that most people aren't. There's quite a number of people who are called, but very few are chosen. Um, I don't know how God chooses. It's just he just calls on them, and I guess we're tested in our lives because all of us have the same kind of test. It doesn't matter if you're a rich millionaire, or if you're a CEO, or if you're homeless, or if you're a middle-aged worker, or you're a teenager, or whatever. You're still under the same sun. You're still in the same Father in heaven. He gives you the same trials and tribulations. I mean, what good is having $1 million if you can't even, if you can't use it? Like, I can't really give examples because I don't know how to set those. That's not my forte. I'm not very good at setting up examples. But somebody who is a millionaire can be just as poor and just as wretched a soul as somebody who's poor, actually poor, because like, what good is having money if you have nobody to share those resources with? What good is having cars if you have, well, see what I'm saying? I'm bad at explaining stuff. But everyone is given the same opportunities to learn and to grow, and to be able to reject their gluttony and their sins here and say, you know what, this is wrong, and help somebody else. Of course, when you do that, when you do help somebody else, or you try to do the right thing, these demons see that and they go, oh, I hate this guy. And then they, try to attack you in all kinds of ways. They'll take stuff away. They'll beat you into the ground until you have nothing, because they don't like that. They hate it. But when somebody does evil and they go like, yeah, I know I did bad to that person. I don't care. I'm fine. And they just do evil. Then they reward that and they go, oh yeah, this guy's gonna deceive so many people. Give this guy some money. Give this girl some money, and or give this guy like some cars. Give this, they try to put people who are deceptive in power, so that the mass majority of the world will see them and they'll think, oh wow, well, we need to live like them. And it's just the way of the world. They try to put intentionally evil people on a pedestal and make them seem like they're bigger and badder than the rest of the world. And those who try to do right, or do follow of the Father, and try to spread truth, they bring them down. They put them into they take away all of their inheritance and their wealth, and they spread it across the earth. And they say, like, this person is, if he gets too powerful, then he's gonna change people. He's gonna change people's minds. He's gonna teach them how to be good. We can't have that. We can't have that at all. So we're constantly bombarded with that. Let's see, lies from the pit of hell. Yes, you are exactly right. Syncretic just means a blend of different. Oh yeah, okay, Oh yeah, duh, sink. Why didn't I think of that? Duh. I was seeking the truth, and it just took an enormous amount of effort and time. It's a miracle of God that I was saved because I was conditioned against Christianity in many ways. I'm right there with you, sister. That's one of the reasons I didn't believe in Christianity because it seems so tacky and ridiculous and hypocritical based on those televangelists. I obviously believe now. Yeah, yeah, I know where you're coming from because I thought the same thing. I was actually bitter and angry towards people who were using God's name to, get more money. And actually, there was a preacher in my old church, my grandma's old church. Now I'm not gonna bring up his name, Pastor B. I'll just say Pastor B. He was someone that would, whenever we had church, he wouldn't really talk about stories in the Bible. That's the funny thing too. I went to that church for like 8 years of my life, 8 years of my childhood. Not once did he talk about a single scripture of like a story that had relevance. He always talked about like his life and his vacations or things that happened with him and saying, "Oh, me and so went here and then we just did this." And so I was very turned off by Christianity because of that, and just why am I going to sit here and listen to some old guy talk about his family vacations and how big of a house he's got and this and that? Like, doesn't this go against everything that's Christianity? So, that very much turned me off to the whole idea of it. And then I guess after he left, or he retired, I guess he was wanting like or he was wanting a retirement of like 6,000 a month or something really, really ridiculous. And I mean, the church was trying to like work with him and say, look, we're not a rich church, we can give you a retirement of like 3,000 a month, which is still pretty darn crazy. That's still quite a bit. Like, that's a very, very nice retirement thing, but that's not my business to be putting on blast, even though I kind of did. Um, just an example that I wanted to share, and so that you know why I was so against Christianity when I was younger, and seeing that and thinking, man, these guys are just taking his name for a ride. That's one of the reasons I always say, if you're living the best life now, wouldn't that be by default mean you're going to hell? Best life by default. Now, when you say that, when you say best life, when was it? Best life now, wouldn't that by default mean you're going to hell? Pearls before swines is what you're talking about, Troy. Yeah, but I mean, yes, that's also something that yes, actually, yeah, that's exactly what Jesus was trying to tell me. Why would you cast your most precious gems in front of somebody who's not going to appreciate it? Somebody who, anyways, that's a Joel Osteen's. But wait, what? That's a Joel Osteen's bestseller. Are you telling me that that's the name of one of his books? If you're living your list. Oh, that's okay. That's why you. So if you're living your best life now, your best life now. That's his book. Okay, that's what you're saying. That's his book. I've never read his book. I never thought to read any of like the televangelist books or whatever. I mean, I never even thought to write my own book because I don't know what to talk about. I mean, I could write a book, and I'm trying to write down like stuff that's happened, but I feel like it's just better to have videos talking about my experiences. But even then, like, I mean, to make a book and then to capitalize on it, I'd feel like a very bad person because I mean, I'd be making money off of essentially my experience with Jesus. Like, how can I do that? Why would I do that? I mean, like most, if you notice, every single one of my videos is not monetized at all. Like, I don't make a single dime from doing this. I do this because I want the world to know about him, and I don't want people to be clicking on the video and then seeing an advertisement and thinking, oh wow, I have to wait 5 seconds for this. Like, that's stupid. Why would I want to do that? Let's see, me neither. Why write about God when we have His Word? It's putting ourselves above God. Yeah, yeah, it's essentially it. Um, and I mean, I don't know. I never thought in my life like, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Like, I never thought about writing a book. But we can praise. Yes, we can. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying writing books is bad, and of course that's lovely. When you can write about your experiences and tell the world about it, that's awesome. Just me personally, I'd feel like a very terrible person if I were to write down my experiences and then sell it as like a book, because like that just like I'm in the same ranks as those money changers in the temple when Jesus was angry and grabbed one of their whips and started whipping them, saying, "Get out of my father's house! This is the house of prayer, and you made it a house of thieves and robbers." And um, you know, so I try not to tread on that territory. I try to not go. Yeah, yeah, me too. I don't want to be, and I don't want to be standing there too when God sees me create a blog for free. Yeah. Like, what do you mean a blog for free? You mean like, because I mean, there's blogging sites. I mean, I think technically this falls under blogging, right? Or vlogging. I think this is blogging. I've never like blogged before. Like before this, I've never actually made videos on YouTube. Like write parts of your experiences and post on a blog. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I actually started doing that on WordPress. This is a video blog, aka vlog. Okay, yeah. So I'm doing this, but at the same time, I've written my second blog on WordPress. Link, please. Let me see here. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it first, because I've only written two blogs, and they're not very good. And one of them talks about an album, and the other one I forgot what it talks about. Why do we not have a link? Because I'm trying to find it. Hang on. How do you find what? Hang on. And I don't even keep up with it that much. Like I mean, I created it all of like um, maybe 2 months ago, and I've just written only like two posts. So it's not even. Let me see here. Can I type? Can I actually make a comment? This is gonna be real dumb for me to ask, but is there a way? Is there a way for me to actually like post? Oh, I can't post my own comments. Yeah, there's no. Okay, wait, hang on. How do you post? I don't think I can post. Hang on. Let me see here. Maybe I can do it on the computer because I know for a fact I can't do it on my cell phone here because that's how I'm doing this. Let's see, blog posts. You could put it in the description of another one of your videos. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna put it in the most recent video, not this one, but the most recent one from before. Oh yeah, I can do that later too. Still though. Uh, okay. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fiddle with this later. I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't. Um, because it's only letting me go to um yeah, it's only letting me go to the part where I can see it and you guys can't see it. So I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know. I have no idea why. It's like really dumb. Just don't forget. Okay, I won't forget. Who's funny? Daughter of God's funny or yes, make more about Jesus. Yeah. Let's see. I guess I can read it from here. I'm still gonna post it, but I'll read off the blog. The first one I made was my first Christian album, Let Go My Ego. Started writing Christian songs in 2018, the year after my visit with the one and only Jesus Christ. After meeting him in my hospital room in 2017, I had a new purpose to this life. That is to make music for the kingdom of God and plant seeds everywhere I go and hopefully bring more souls to him so that they can be saved like I was that very day, 2017. It's a photo of the album art there. Yeah, it's actually a lot to read. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna post a link later. I'm not gonna read all the thing. I feel like I'm parroting my own self. Oh, thanks. Me. So I do want to read from actually. Let's see. I've finished. Let's see here. No, you know what? I'm just a fallen human being, but it seems to me like you've been growing so much in the Lord, Troy. Thank you. Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. Um, I do want to read off of Judges, but I don't know where. I'm trying to find that story that I just read where there was a there was a king of uh, Ehud, that slew Edgol, or whatever, and that was a crazy because that like it came out of nowhere when I read it. I was expecting him to say something like, "Oh, I have a gift for you from God," and then I was like, "Okay," and then the next page it's like, and then he drew his sword and then thrust it into his belly. I'm like, "Whoa, what?" That's not what I expected at all. Was it Judges? It might have. Yes, it definitely was, and I remember. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, this is a crazy story. I'm going to read off of Judges chapter 3, verse 12 through 22. It's a pretty long verse, but story time. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon, and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. Now remember, they sent the children of Israel sent a present, quote unquote present, to the king of the Moabs, Eglon. But Ehud made him a dagger which had two edges of a cubit length. Cubit is from one end to the other, so basically his cubit that's a big dagger, by the way. That's a very big dagger. Um, and and when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bear the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king, who said, Keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. So he basically just sent everybody away and said, Okay, well, everybody can just leave. What present do you have for me? Yes, you can go. All of you just leave. Just go. So he's basically setting up his own demise here. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And so it's saying Ehud, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The king arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand, and he took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, basically saying the whole, like everything, the shaft and everything. This is a fat man, mind you. This is a big, we're talking like a big, robust, like fat guy. And I mean, just that, yeah. Um, and See, went in after the blade. Yeah, the half went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade. That's when you know a person's fat, when God is saying the fat folded in onto the dagger. And so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. Yeah, pretty gross. But yeah, no, I just want to read that little story because, He, even after the Israelites were, doing evil on in the sight of the Lord, he still heard their cries years later when they said, "Please deliver us." And he said, "Okay, I'll send you somebody." And he delivered them from the evil king, and the evil king was slain by Ehud, who was their first judge, I think. Yeah, yeah, he was their first judge, Ehud. And this is shortly after the death of Joshua. Let's see. Yeah, that's all I wanted to read from there. So I've been going on for about an hour. I can really see his light coming out of you. Praise God. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, I don't really know anything else to talk about, unless you wanted to share something, um, maybe something in your life that's probably weighing on you. Maybe children are dealing with something like I don't know, wrath or I don't know, sins of the flesh or something. Whatever's going on in your minds, because I'm actually noticing as I'm going out and like as you know, I'm staying with my friends, and they are basically letting me staying on their couch in the living room, and I don't exactly have a quiet place to just go to. So my go-to is to go outside and to walk around, and even then, that's not it's not very pleasant because I'm outside, and it's not like I can just be inside and pray by myself. And I'm noticing that, on TV and commercials and stuff, they're really advertising, sex to kids. And I guess I just want to pray for that these companies will like tune it down so that they're not, or something to where these kids are, led away from that sinful nature, because they're really really emphasizing that. Um, I mean, commercials, they're like, for, for goodness sakes, there was a commercial about like a unicorn that was like basically defecating on like an ice cream cone. I don't like that's just like how, like what? You know? I'm not even sure what that falls like. I know that just isn't normal. That's just like I don't watch TV. Good. Good, I try not to watch TV, but living in my friend's place, I distract myself, and I read I read off of the Bible or something, or I try to keep screens. What's that? What's addicted to screens? Like, is that a TV show? Screens. I know that people who like smoke, they buy these little screens and they put them in like their pipe or whatever, and then they smoke or whatever. Um, I don't know if that's the word is this world is so dark. Yep. Yes, it is. It very well is. There was actually a cartoon that my friends were watching. What was it called? It was called American Dad, and it's similar to like Family Guy or whatever. Because way back then, I used to watch those types of shows, and I guess my friend was watching. I think I said it early in this video, but they were watching like this episode with I guess like the daughter was posing naked for like an art thing or whatever, and I'm thinking like when this was, and I agree that the sexualization of this culture is out of control. It is, and I remember like hearing like I was reading and I heard like the characters talk about, oh, you can't draw me. Why are you drawing me naked? And I'm thinking like, what the? And I made a face. I made a face, and my friend saw that, and he tried to defend it and say like, oh man, you don't know, it's just a joke. It's just a show, Troy. You don't have to be all, oh, you can't be watching that and this. And I get whatever face I'd made. I guess it got through to him. Like phone. Oh, that's what you mean by screens. Okay. Like phone, TV, and laptop video games. Yeah, yeah. So that is we're addicted to technology. I'm actually glad the way I was brought up, because my grandma, she like when I lived with her growing up, I didn't get any technology. Like I didn't get a computer or a laptop or anything. Period. I think I got my first cell phone. Even then, it wasn't a cell phone. It was like one of those like really really cruddy flip phone things, like a pocket. I don't know if you guys may or may not have known. They were like the worst brand of cricket. Like um I got a little pocket phone. Like that was the name of the company, was Pocket. Yeah, she was nice. And I remember my grandma taking me to a La Fiesta, the one that was near our house, and she said that she wanted me to have like a phone to be able to like call me or whatever whenever I was like out and about, because I used to go and mow lawns with my friend Carl or go to the movies, or I was out and about. I wasn't like inside. I never stayed inside. And so we went to La Fiesta, and they had this little pocket store thing inside. And she asked me like which one I wanted to get. And at the time, everyone was telling me, not to be asking grandma for stuff and this and that. So I never did. But with this, she wanted to get me a phone. So I said, okay. So I asked her to get like the crappy little, power language, the crappy little, $30 phone, the cheapest little thing that they had. And it was like a 2G phone or whatever. There was no internet or anything like that. It was just straight up, you could text somebody or you could call somebody, and that's it. And the only people that I actually got to call on that phone was my grandma and my friends. uh, all two friends, because I was a loser. I only had my two best friends in the world, and they were Carl and Adrian. And yeah, yeah. No, I didn't have that many like friends or anything, which is good, like you don't I actually feel bad for kids who feel like they've got like a lot of friends who party and stuff and be like, "Yeah, get it," because like they're blinded by their own lust, Um Kids who have less or have that's two more friends than I have. Oh, why you gotta go there? You're making me feel bad, like I got friends. No, well, I'm not gonna go there. One of the things that happened when I came to Christ is I learned that I didn't have real friends. Yeah, yeah, you learn that. So my friend Carl, the ones I was telling you about back in high school, one of them, Adrian, he changed his personality like real fast after high school, and he ended up getting into BMX bikes. He doesn't acknowledge me or Carl as his friends. Um, he only thinks about how others see him, and he doesn't want to be associated with us because we're not cool or popular like the other people are. And that sounds real childish, but that's the truth. And Carl had the exact opposite, with him, because he had a kid when he was younger, and I remember her too. See, we were friends. Like she was his fiance when we were in high school, and I guess she got pregnant and had a kid. Very adorable kid, but um, after high school, she started like, demanding more from him, and of course he has, he's a father, he has to do what he needs to do. But things kind of just happened where he was just attacked by a whole lot of different people. He was basically just like tossed aside, and she found somebody else. I don't know if she remarried or not, but they're now, I guess, um, you know she lives in a completely different state. He pays child support. He can't see his kid. He was in prison or jail for I don't know what. Just real tough situation. And he basically had to live off the bare minimum. And he since coming out, people don't really take him seriously when he's looking for a job and stuff. And so he's had it hard. Uh, I grew up extremely liberal, so being pro-life and not believing in gay marriage are not acceptable beliefs. Yeah, I don't believe in gay marriage, and I believe that. Well, I know that when you terminate a baby, you're basically killing a life. Life doesn't just start when you're born, or even a month before you're born. It starts when you're conceived. The moment when the mom and the dad come together and they do their thing and the mom is now pregnant, that's when the baby has, like the soul is formed, everything is formed. The baby just needs to grow. um the trans movement, you know what, I was watching a video about these moms and dads that were trying to teach their kids how to be more acceptable or accepted in like the trans community. And like I remember the dad was asking the daughter, like, what would you like? Do you think that like how did he word it? He said like he was trying to basically brainwash her into believing that she's a boy. And this little girl, I love this little girl. She was so like just quick with her wits and telling her dad stuff like he's like, well, what if I said that it was okay for you to be a boy? She's like, well, I'm not a boy. She was only like 4 or 5, but she like had the intellect of like a very intelligent, like it was just funny seeing it. And she was like, I'm not. And he's like, but what if you wanted to be? She's like, then you should probably take me to a hospital. And he's like, well, what if I said it was okay? What if I said that, you should try boys' clothes on? She'd say, I I think that I'd have to get my head examined or something. Is when I first started losing friends, becoming Christian. Yep. Yeah, that does it to you. I've got like very few friends. But yeah, so she was basically just coming with comebacks with her dad, and her dad was basically trying to like force her into a thinking of saying, "Well, it's what if I say that you need to be a boy?" And she's like, I need an adult." Like I don't know, like the way she I don't know. And then there was like one with like this mom that was trying to talk her son. Like I'm assuming that was her son. She asked her son like, "What makes a man and what makes a boy and what makes a girl?" And then the kid, just being a little 5-year-old kid, is like strong. Like he's just thinking, "Yeah, boys are strong." And she's like, "Really? Let's put that to the test." And I'm just like, "What? Well, hold up. You're trying to test this boy's like thinking of who's strong when like you're 40 years old. This kid's 5. Like I mean that's a terrible. And so I mean I'm sure you guys have probably seen this video somewhere. Um, it really scared me because like there's actual parents who are teaching or forcing their kids to learn like these very very bad life lessons. Like there was a mom that was trying to basically like force her kid to accept or force them to accept that there are a whole lot of different genders. And I'm like, no, no, there isn't. In the beginning, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, not Jennifer and Jessica. Like, and even at that, like, they just don't. It's like people who just want to be ignorant on purpose. They choose to believe that like it's hard. It's really hard not to like be mad at people when you're seeing these videos because sometimes it's almost like they are trying to be stupid on purpose, and I don't know what to say to them. I lost most of my friends when I'm around people I don't know what to say anymore because my mind is on Christ all the time. I got saved. Good. I've been comforting to know that all my painful experiences are to be expected according to the Bible. Yep. Especially for those who are going to lose their lives and be beheaded for the kingdom. It's an honor, but it's also scary because it's like, damn. Like, really? I mean, really? Like, you question. I mean, I'm just saying because I'm only human. I'm only human, and when you're when you're shown, because before I even read some of this book, I never even heard of the stuff that happens in Revelations. Yeah, that's nothing too. When I was in Sunday school, we never read a single page of Revelations. Not a single page. Like nothing. We didn't even we covered like the same like Matthew, Mark, and John, and Acts and such, but we never ever touched on Revelations. Not even in the adult Bible studies. And so when Jesus was just being straight up with me and just letting me know what's like showing me and then telling me what's to come, and then like hearing the screams of people that are just like fearing for their lives. I mean, like ear splitting screams, like terror that you can't even imagine. And then hearing like people's like bones shatter and crack, and then like essentially just meat tearing and everything. Like you're hearing this stuff, and you're just like, well, what is this? And I mean, not even like that. That's putting it lightly. Just you're so freaked out, you don't even know what to say. You don't even know what to ask. And that's essentially what Daniel was basically at when he was hearing all these sounds from when he had that dream, and he basically saw the four different animals, like the bear with the three ribs in his mouth and just tearing him up and everything, and then the four-headed leopard-looking thing with the four wings, and just the eagle with his line standing, and like he saw some pretty weird stuff, and then he heard the most terrifying, like essentially chainsaws and very sharp swords just cutting down on flesh and stuff, and even to other metal and sharpening, and him hearing and seeing this stuff. It scared, terrified the living what out of him, and he didn't know what to. He just wrote down iron teeth because he didn't know how to describe it. You know, but um, somebody living in the 21st century, hearing and seeing that stuff, if that terrifies somebody nowadays, just imagine what somebody like him was thinking when he was being shown this stuff. Like, kudos to him. I don't fear death anymore. I want to go home. I'm right there with you. I mean, I do fear. I'm not going to say I don't fear death. Of course, of course I'm terrified. I'm not gonna say that I'm not like, oh, I can, I'm fine with it. Like, you're lying to yourself. For me, I'm just saying you're lying to yourself if you say that you're not in the least bit, concerned of how how much it's gonna hurt, because it does. I mean, obviously, dying that way does hurt. Um, but it's for a good purpose. If the Father wills it, there's a reason. And on top of that, that once you're finally out of this body, you're essentially resting. You're at peace. You're in paradise. You're just waiting for Father to give you your new clothes and to call your soul up, and then your body to be reanimated, reconstituted, and just put everything back where it is, and then you just heal up, and then you just get called up to the kingdom. You're and um I'm just a poor wretched soul that has no idea how this stuff works, or even what happens in that time. Suppose, I mean, yeah, so far, I mean, they're all the other saints are just chilling and resting. I don't know what that means. For all I know, that could probably be but I don't know. I don't know. They could very well be chilling in paradise, and having wine with food or something, or they could just simply just be sleeping. But then it's like, what do you dream about for sleeping and resting? I don't know. I have so many questions. I had a lot of questions, and but I felt like I shouldn't have asked, and I didn't ask because I didn't know. Let's see here. I hope to go home to. I want comes for us. Jesus is not going to come until all things that were written in the law are fulfilled. Um, Not sure where that came from. Just, I don't fear death. It's the dying I'm not crazy about. Yeah, I'm there with you. It's the dying part that's not. I don't care after I'm dead. After I'm dead, I'm dead. I'm not gonna. I mean, you're not. You're living in Christ. You're essentially, your soul is taken away from the body that you're residing in, and you're basically just put into paradise. And once Jesus comes back in the clouds and he calls up his elect, then you're basically just taken up from paradise, and they're like, "Oh, it's your time. Come on, come on. It's your it's your turn. Let's go home." And you're essentially like, "Oh, it's time. We're going now. Okay, okay, cool. We'll finish this up there. Okay, cool." And then you just you ascend up, and um, I mean, it's a crazy thing, And I remember I saw like a show that not like one of those popular shows that everybody sees nowadays, that's full of sin, but there was something that like reminded me of how uh like the saints, that when the saints were slain, like, okay, so remember when Jesus had died, and yes, he is, it's perfect, doesn't answer prayers sometimes, or why he waits so long. Oh, I see, so you're answering. Did you ask Jesus why he doesn't answer your question? Yes, I did. I did. I asked him why does God allow like children to go hungry? Why does he allow kids to die? Why does he let prayers go unanswered? A whole skew of just questions that I asked, just kind of came in in order. Like I was just like, why do these kids die? Like why is there so much pain and torment? Why are these kids used as like sexual objects? Why are kids beaten and starved and tormented? Why are there parents that are allowed to be drug dealers and use, like why are there so much torment and and why does it seem like their prayers don't go unanswered? And I guess he explained it in a way that I can understand, because it's kind of like you're setting the stage and you're allowing things to happen as they're happening. You're giving people the choices. People have choices in their lives to follow. It's like you see let's take it from here. Let's say you see a homeless person, right? You set it up to where there's a homeless person and there's a rich man coming out of a store and he sees the homeless person, and this rich man has the choice to either give him food or money or whatever, or just walk away, or to just yell profanities at him and beat him and stuff. And you know this is just one example where that one situation, this person has the what's that word, he has the opportunity to do one of those things, and he could choose to do evil, and that person would receive that evil, and he would, I mean, in that situation you would think, why did you allow that person to be beaten like that? Like that person didn't deserve to be beaten and to be spit on and to be laughed at, and like that's terrible. Why would you? But at the same time, he gives these opportunities because he wants to see what's truly in your heart. It's not done until it's done. When the end of your life comes, that's when, I mean, he knows when you're not going to change at all, but he gives you all the opportunities to change. And that's the same thing with drug dealers, with those people who use children in those sex trafficking, or um, even preachers that are using God's name to make a lot of money for themselves, or abusive parents, or anybody out there. He gives them all the opportunities to change. And at the very end of this life, when we come to our end, he looks at every evil thing that's done to us and every good thing that's done to us. He looks at all of the good choices we made that honored our Father in heaven or that dishonored him. And he basically, it's like payday for those who were done evil to. Excuse me. For those who were done evil to, it's payday for you, because it's like, okay, time to take you up to heaven. But wait, hold on. Before you go home, we have a consolation prize because you suffered a lot and you went through a whole bunch of BS that, I'm sorry, but I used your life to, this is him telling you that, like, I used your life to try and better others people's lives. And I guess I used you as an example or as an opportunity for other people. And some people chose to help you and to, get moved closer to the kingdom. So a lot of people chose to just disregard you in every aspect and to treat you like terribly and awful and stuff. And they essentially just did evil things to you. So because of that, because you allowed me to use your life in that way and you received a whole lot of evil things, here's your reward, you know. Of course, we don't see it that way, because when it's happening to us, it's like, man, this sucks. And when we see it happening to a young kid or to an old elderly person who can't defend themselves or whatever, it seems like nobody cares, but he does care, and he sees that, and he cries. He cries when he sees things like that, and it's crazy to think about that, because there's billions of us. I mean, just imagine somebody crying for billions of people in the world who are starving or being, tormented and stuff. And he sees that, and he comforts those who are meek in the world. So he doesn't just leave it at that. He is very much aware, he's very much conscious of the pain and torment that we suffer through. But he knows when we come to the Father, and usually, if not most definitely, those who are least in this world meet him. I mean, I know, because like I met Jesus, but he shows his son to those who are weakest in this world, and he basically shares life with them. And he says, you don't have to feel alone, because you're not alone anymore. You've never been alone, but now you know that you're not alone. And at the end of this life, you're going to be paid back much, much more blessings and then some. And I can't even comprehend that because I don't even understand what that looks like. Um, I don't know how heaven's blessings look in the eyes that I have now. God comforted me when you shared how Jesus told you that you were not alone. Yeah, that comforted me too. Made me cry actually. And then I never cry in front of people. I before making these videos, I was very much a reserved, cut off person. I didn't like to show my emotions to others. I mean, I know that from the Bible, but hearing it from a currently alive person, yeah, I know, right? But see, that's the thing too. So Satan uses everything to discredit what God's word is, because a lot of preachers will they will use they'll do sermons and stuff, and they'll read off it and go, and then God said this, and they say it in such like a detached way where you don't connect the words. You don't connect. Like here's an example. Let me give you an example of reading the story. Um, I'll just read it off. I'll just read it off well, no, because I didn't get to see that. I'm gonna read it off of something that I did. Oh, I know exactly. There was a part when let's see, Acts. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to find the right story. So this is Paul, and so most preachers will tell the story, if at all, and they'll say, and Saul yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that he found any of his this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he trembled, and astonished said, Lord, what wilt thou have me do? That's how preachers talk about stories. I mean, because you've seen churches. But when somebody gives an account, and Satan hates it when we use our own emotions to describe stuff like this, seeing this firsthand makes you really have a different aspect or mindset about it, because it changed. So here's how I'd read it, because I understand the significance. This wasn't just light that came down. This is like earth-shattering earthquake, like you don't even holy, what's going on, And Saul, so this is me saying it, not with that preacher tone, but and Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest. He basically was beating down doors, saying, "Hey, get out of here! I know you're followers of Jesus." And he pulled women by their hair and men and beat them, and he would drag them out in the street and say, "Kill this man! Kill this man!" He was angry. He was an angry guy. That's just how he was. He was a Pharisee, and he desired him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that he found any of his way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. He's basically telling the high priest, hey, you need to send me to Damascus, because all those people that were following Jesus, yeah, they're going to spread their message. We can't have that. We can't have that. They need to come back here so that we can, end them. And so, and he, mind you, he truly believes he's doing the work of God by cutting this cult that he believes is Jesus. So as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and near is a subjective term. Really, I mean, he was like a 3 days off journey, so he still had some ways to go. But anyways, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. Basically, just bam, this light that just came down and just shook him right off of his feet, and he just shook back and was like, oh, like he didn't know how. Everyone who was with him, he was with the company of, I think, 4 escorts, whatever, the men that were with him, that were basically just escorting him to Damascus. And I mean, they were afraid. They were petrified. They didn't know what to, because they couldn't hear the voice that he was hearing, but they still heard like this awesome sound, and it just shattered their world. Like, what's going on? Like, well, what is that? And he heard And he heard a voice basically telling him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? He's freaking out. He's just like, and he knows exactly who that is. He knows that's God, or he knows that's Lord. So he's just like, who are you? Like basically like, who are you? And he answers him. He tells him, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he's basically saying, it's me, Jesus from Nazareth. And you've been persecuting my people, and I don't like it. And so he's just terrified beyond belief. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I mean, I'm smiling, but he wasn't smiling. He was just terrified. Like, what do you want me to do? Like he didn't. But yeah. So Satan has made us like distance ourselves from emotions when we talk about stories in the Bible that happen. So people don't really connect to what's going on. They don't really comprehend or understand all the things that are happening with people, because these are real people doing real things. Like, he was a murderer. Saul was essentially he was a killer. He would. I mean, just imagine somebody so angry pulling your hair and just getting you down on the ground and saying, "Execute this guy right now." That's his wife. She believes in Jesus. This guy believes in Jesus. Execute them right now. And people would get stones and stuff. They, cast them in like these. This is real stuff happening. These people are like, they are being stoned to death. When you hear stoned to death, you think, oh, stone. No, these people they chucked them. We're talking like broken faces and teeth, and it was ugly. It was. It was real common and even nowadays, but especially back then, to stone people to death. Like if there was a woman who was a harlot or something, or was seen as like a whore, she would be stoned to death, or a follower of Christ. If you were found out to be a follower of Jesus, you were executed on the spot by Roman Pharisees. And we disassociate emotions when it comes to stuff, when it comes to stories from the Bible. And I feel like we need to bring those two together, because actually, if you guys have you guys read the Gospel of Thomas and Mary from the Bible? Hearing it from a currently alive person is different. Yeah, it is. It's much different, because when you're seeing it, it's like it's right there, and you feel the earthquaking shakingness of it. That sounds so dumb, but you feel like it, because you're there and you're seeing this stuff, and you're like, oh wow, okay, and like it's almost, you can't put it into words. Like, I'm sure you guys notice, when you're in church and the priest or the preacher is talking, about stories from the Bible, he's not putting his emotions into it, is he? He's not talking about the stuff like as if like this is real life, situations with real people who have real flaws, and these people are struggling with their flaws. Like Samson, he killed like 1,000 soldiers. That dude was like the ancient, what's his name? What was his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And I saw a video that made fun of that, and I thought that was kind of funny, because it's not too far off from Samson was obviously uh much stronger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, but still, just that was strength from God. Saul then became the greatest apostle Paul. Exactly. And even through all that, even with him persecuting and executing, like he executed Christians, God still used him, and he was afraid. He was sorely afraid, and Jesus basically told, I'll finish the thing here. And mind you, this is a different language, what they're speaking. He was speaking, Lord knows, I don't know. He was speaking something. It obviously wasn't English, but it was still pretty cool to. So, anyways, he asked him, "What will you have me do? Like, what will you have me do, Lord?" And Jesus just tells him, "Arise, go into the city of Damascus. Go to where you're going, and be told. I'll tell you what to do." Not exactly what it says here in the Bible. It's exactly, it says, "Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do." But I'm just trying to say it in, plain old language, like, get up, go to Damascus, I'll tell you what to do next. Basic plain way to say it. No frilly, you know, no barriers of language. You understand what's being said, and um, we miss a lot of the emotions that these people were really put under. Because you got to understand, this guy has been living his life like a whole certain way, thinking he's been doing the right thing for God, and I mean, being very adamant about like murdering these people, and then all of a sudden to have his whole world shaken up and be told, "Hey, stupid, you did wrong. This isn't what I want you to do." But that's okay, because you're going to be used for a very good purpose. You're going to be used for the Gentiles. You're going to be an apostle that's going to teach unto, I don't know, the Greeks and whatever, Colossians and Ephesians, whatever. There's a whole lot. There's a whole different bunch of different people that he sermoned to. But yeah, yeah. So sorry for going on that little rant there. I feel like we're 2 hours into this. Wow. I don't know. I don't know why the Terminator. It just reminded me. Um, with Samson. Samson was a very, very strong, like, I just thought of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator guy, because it just reminded me of like, I don't know. It just I think I think that movies have that. Conan the Barbarian. Who's that? Conan? Let me see here. I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna look up what you. Oh wait, I'm gonna keep that here. I'm sorry. Okay, Google. I'm gonna Google that. Conan the Barbarian. Terminator. Wait, Samson terminated 3,000 Lord at his death. Oh yeah, yeah. He killed a ton. Um, Conan the Barbarian. This is probably gonna be Schwarzenegger. Yes, it is. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Yep. That's, for some reason I get the same vibe from Arnold. Obviously Samson was much more powerful, much stronger, and had longer hair. A lot, very very much longer hair. Um, a lot more body too. Like a lot. Like it was very thick. Like I mean, I'd be like thinning compared to the hair he had. It was almost like, hmm, there's nobody alive I can think of that had that kind of strength and hair. But yeah, no. And you guys know what I'm talking about with Samson. Um, Samson terminated 3,000. Oh, sorry. Jeremiah is one of the books in the Bible that helps me the most in terms of dealing with living in this world when it's so dark and low. Yeah, yeah, because Jeremiah was the weeping prophet, right? He was trying to basically tell Israel, Fabio. Okay, I know that's a joke. I don't know where it's from though, but I want to know where it's from. Fabio, I've heard that somewhere. That's Fabio. Da-da-da-ding. I'm gonna look that up. Fabio. That's probably. I think that you're probably talking about the hair. God basically told him to. No one would listen to him, but he had to stick around anyway. Yep. Oops, him. Him. What? God. No one would listen to him, but he had to stick around anyway. I didn't mean to. Oh, okay. That's, yeah. Okay. It doesn't matter. Um, the only photos I see of Fabio. Oh, it's not. It's touchscreen. No, that's not the hair that Samson had. Uh, but nice hair, I guess. Yeah, Samson's was longer, very much longer. That's not the length that he had, not by a long shot. Didn't mean to camp. Oh, still on that. But yeah, that's what we were talking about before. I feel like we've just went off subject. You know, what's funny is I haven't even finished the book of Revelations. I've gone up to like Revelations chapter like 8. Yeah, chapter 8. Oh, did we even read this one? I don't think we did. Chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. It's talking about Jesus there. Did Samson go to hell? Hmm. I don't think so. Revelation is singular. Like as in linear? I Samson went to heaven. Pretty sure he went to heaven. I didn't think to ask that because, that was just it just seemed like implied like another servant of God was doing, even someone like him who was not that great of a judge was still doing the work of God, even though he messed up and went to a brothel and, fornicated and did things that God wasn't very pleased with. He still did the work of God. Do you guys believe in a pre? No. No. But wasn't murder his final act? Yeah, it was. But it was the enemies of the Israelites. It was, or he murdered. Wait, I get these names confused. There's the Philistines, and then there's the Philistines, and no pre-trib. The Bible says Jesus comes after. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's no pre-rapture. The tribulations are what the world does to us. It's not what God does to the world or anything like that. It's true. It's purely what the world despises us, and so it destroys us and it kills us and it torments us and treats us terribly in the world. And then after the tribulations are done, after all the saints are beheaded and all people are killed and martyred, and those who are persecuted, by the evil one are gone through this tribulation, because there will be some souls that are alive still that are, followers of Jesus. Then Jesus is going to come back. Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys have read Revelations. And you probably saw my other videos too, talking about it, where the sun is going to go dark, the moon's going to be bloodshed for a time, and then it's going to go black, and then the stars going to fall out of heaven, and the earth is going to quake, and if you're blind, deaf, or can't see or whatever, you're going to know. You're still going to know, because the whole world is going to just be shaking, and there's no reason for you not to know that something is up, because it's going to seem like the whole world's going to hell, because it quite literally is going to hell, or at least hell is coming here. Hell is going to earth. Bet you never heard that before. So yeah, hell is quite literally coming here. But before that happens, Jesus is going to come into the clouds. He's going to call up his elect and all of those saints. Oh, that's what I was talking about before. That's right. So the best way to put it, with the saints being risen up, you remember when Jesus was risen from the dead, and there was an earthquake, and then the tapestry split down the middle, and the saints of old, the old saints in that time, were raised up, like their bodies came back together again. The ones who were beheaded and stuff, or killed or martyred, their bodies were just reconstituted again, and they had life again, and they walked into the cities, and the people that were there were so afraid, because they were like, I just we saw that guy get his head cut off. We saw that guy get crucified upside down. We saw this, like they like, or I'm sorry, different. You know what I'm saying though. The people in these in whatever city that was, they were afraid, and it's different. That's different than the saints that are going to be risen up and just taken straight to the kingdom. People are going to see that, but they're not going to just stay here. Their body's going to come back into one thing, and they're basically just going to be called up to the kingdom. And then people are just going to see that, and like they're not going to know what to say. And then God's going to separate his goats, or his sheep, from the goats. Sorry, I'm bad at explaining stuff. Sheep from the goats, and I mean, he's God. All he has to do is say separate, and then just instantly, people that are the sheep and goats are going to be separated. Like it's just crazy. it's just insane. um and you guys know what happens after that. He's just going to say, come to the house of our Father that's been prepared since old times. For when I was hungered, you fed me, or you gave me meat. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was naked, you clothed me, and et cetera, et cetera. And, people are going to say, well, I don't remember doing that. And yeah. And then after that part, then he's going to turn to the goats and he's going to say, away from me, you sons, wicked sons of sin. For when I was in hungered, you gave me no meat, and blah, blah, blah. Is the sheep goat the same as the whole throne? No, no, it's not. They're different. So that's the thing too. The seven vial judgments of God. Or let me get to that. So when he tells the goats, like, away from me, you wicked sons of sin, for when I was hungered, you fed me not. When I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. When I was naked, you didn't clothe me, etc. And they're going to say, well, Lord, when were you this? We would have done it if we knew. And he said, when you didn't do it to the least of you in this world, you didn't do it to me. And that's when the gates of hell are literally going to open up on earth. And you hear about those shows talking about zombies and the zombie apocalypse and Zombieland and all kinds of The Walking Dead and 28 Days Later. Yeah, that's actually that's a thing. So the souls that are in hell have not eaten a single scrap of food since they were alive. Yes, but God gave Samson the strength to avenge himself for them and gouging us. Yes, that's yeah. Because his hair was cut off because he was an idiot and told his wife, like, hey, this is how you cut off my hair. Of course, he did later on and say, well, you have to do this and that. But anyways, I'll get back to what we were talking about, the rapture and everything. But Samson, basically, they cut uh, I always get them messed up. The Philistines and I can't remember the other names of those people. Anyways, whoever his enemies were, cut off his hair and everything and kept him as a slave, gouged out his eyes, and he basically worked for them for a time. And when he was to be brought forth to the, I guess, the people who were going to, like, execute him or whatever, he asked the Lord to give him strength, even though he hadn't, he broke his vow with them cutting his hair. God gave him the strength. So, God's with him. God was with him. And that was the final act. But anyways, I'm answering that question. So these people are going to be on the earth. They're going to be very scared and very terrified. And even while the seven vial judgments are happening and they're going to be poured out onto the earth, God is going to pour out his wrath. And these people are going to be terrified beyond anything that you've ever seen. They're going to know. There's no excuse for you not to know. You're going to know that you messed up and you're here for God's wrath. And hell is going to come onto the earth. So, like, how there's heaven, there's not enough room here. There's heaven, there's earth, and then there's hell. And earth is separate from heaven. Earth is obviously in a separate space, time space of heaven and earth. And just like earth is a separate time space for hell, but earth is closer to the dimension of hell than it is to heaven. Because it's hard to explain, but God made it so that no sin can ever enter heaven. No sin at all is ever allowed to come into heaven. And that's on purpose, because he just cannot allow, he's too good. He cannot allow sin in any degree to come into heaven. And when he set up hell, like, he made hell and everything, he cast the demons out, and he cast Satan into that pit and closed it up. He said, all right, you can have this place and you can be that prince of whatever, but when I come back, my son is going to destroy this place. He's going to burn up this old earth and this old hell, and there will be nothing left of it. And he's basically going to create a new heaven and a new earth, a new everything, a new cosmos. He's going to create a new home for God's creations. So he's going to essentially pour out all of his vile judgments onto the earth, and that includes allowing everything from hell to come up onto earth. Now, everybody who's on earth who hasn't been to hell, they're going to be food for those who have been in hell. So it's a very terrifying thing to talk about, and I guess I'm getting better at talking about it more, because it doesn't I'm not getting as triggered. I don't want to use that word triggered, but I'm not getting like terrors from imagining this stuff, because at the same time I don't have to worry about me seeing that, because I'm going to be dead long after. I'm going to be dead not seeing that. Like, I'm not going to see that. But it still terrifies me, because at the same time, even though I'm not going to see it, it still scares me, because there are going to be a lot of people who are going to see that. And some of these people are going to be people that I know in my life, like my, I mean, quite very possibly my family, some friends that I've had over the years. I mean, I don't want to admit that. I don't want to say that's going to happen because, you could tell yourself a sugar-coated lie and say it's not going to happen when you're just lying to yourself. You know for a fact that, I mean, God has even said himself, brother will go against brother, father will go against son, mother will go against daughter, sister or mother-in-law will go against daughter-in-law. Like everyone is going to be fighting against each other. And it's stupid of me to think that that it's going to go any other way. Whoa, what the heck? If the Saints, okay, I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, hang on here. I just realized I haven't even plugged this thing in. If the Saints meet Jesus in the air at second coming, why does he need to also separate them from the goats? No, he's not separating the saints from the. Okay, so that's a confusing thing that. Clear up the goats. Aren't they already separate? The tares, goats are gathered first to be burned. If we are still alive, we get to watch. So okay, so let me clear that up. Let me clear that up. So the saints are not in the crowd of the goats or the sheep. They're already dead. Like they're the first ones to be called up. God is going to, I guess, awaken the saints who died for Christ. And I don't know what he says because he's God. He can just do whatever he wants. He's just going to say rise or awaken or life or whatever he does. And the saints are going to come up and be reattached to whatever head they had, and they're going to basically be breathed life again, and they're going to come in the clouds with Jesus into heaven, into the marriage supper. Then that's when he's going to separate his sheep from his the sheep. I need to stop saying the sheep from his goat. His sheep from the goats. What's wrong with me? He separates Matthew. Yeah, it probably explains it there too. The sheep are the living, the ones who are still living on the earth, who were not beheaded and were not killed for the kingdom. They're still living in Christ. They're still doing God's work, but they were spared death from the evil one, by our Father. And he separates them. I'm gonna look that up too because I want to read it. He separates them from each other because they're still living. But the saints are not. They're not in this category. That's why, if you saw my video before, my old, there's different roles. There's different jobs for each one. The saints have a very specific purpose. The saints are those who are. I mean, first and foremost, that they're killed for the kingdom, but because of the lives they live, and they tried to do right by others, and they took nothing for themselves. They tried to live, frugal and very, very basic, minimum, lives. Like they didn't want to take much, if not anything. And God wants them to, after the marriage supper and everything, goes down, he wants them to come back to the earth and reign on the earth, reign on the new earth with Jesus in his kingdom. The people who were living in Christ, who aren't saints, who are living on the earth and who are brought up to the marriage supper after the saints are taken up, they're going to stay in heaven. They're not going to know anything that's going down on the earth. They're like that time is done. They're just in heaven. That's it. That's all. They're not going to worry about that because that's not their job. They're just going to be in heaven. And I'm sorry, I think I have watched the other videos and studied this extensively. There are many different interpretations. Yeah, why aren't the saints if they're on earth and believe in Jesus? Why aren't the saints? Why aren't they? Because God didn't elect them. So God elects those to die for the kingdom. It's like you're chosen, whether you want to or not, you're chosen to die for the kingdom. And when you're chosen, I'm sorry, but you're going to die for the kingdom. Now, living for Christ, every saved person is a saint, dead or alive. I'm not going to get into like specifics about that. I'm just going to say that those who are elected to die are going to be. I also thought every saved person is a saint. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how God sets things up. I just know that he elects certain souls to die for the kingdom. And I don't know how he chooses. I don't know why he chooses. I don't know. I don't understand any of that stuff. But I know that there are those who die for the kingdom, who are beheaded or killed, and there are those who live for Christ. And here's from Thessalonians. It's a good one. Oh, and I forgot to read. I'm sorry. I forgot to read Matthew 13:30. Well, first, 13:30. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in time of harvest I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles and burn them. Oh yeah, yeah. And then you said Matthew. I thought Bible. Watched Thessalonians. Yeah. Then we are who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will always be with the Lord. It says those who are alive will be caught up in the air. So why would they need to be separated if they're drawn to Jesus in the air? Wait, hang on. And it says those who are alive will be caught up in the air. It's true, but he separates the sheep from the goats first. Or before he does that, he calls up his elect. The elect are the dead in Christ. Those are the ones who are the elect, the chosen individuals or chosen souls by God to die for the kingdom. And for the testimony, he uses them to give the testimony of Jesus Christ to the world. The world hates that. It's disgusted with those souls that are chosen by God to preach the truth. So they kill us. And those who are dead in Christ are risen first. They come up and caught up into the marriage supper, or whatever. So the sheep goat division happens in between what's described here in the yes. I mean, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to follow with a lot of I haven't looked up Thessalonians. What page is this? Let me find it. Because, to be honest, I don't think I've even read Thessalonians. 1490. 1490. 1490. Oh, here we go. Okay, what's First Thessalonians 4:16? Okay. All right, here we go. 4:16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Yeah, the dead in Christ shall rise first. They're the saints who were chosen and elected to die for the kingdom, rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Yeah. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. But if the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. I'm reading a little ahead here, about all that. But yeah, essentially that's yeah. So I don't understand how God chooses who dies for the kingdom and who doesn't, because there's been plenty of Christians who, so when then the sheep goat division happens between what described in 16 and 17. Yeah. To the word of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. Sorry, I'm reading for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise. Okay, I'm just reading it again and again. Yeah. So he's going to separate after he calls the dead in Christ first, and they go up to the marriage supper. Then he's going to separate his sheep from the goats. I always mess up. I'm sorry. And that's when he's going to basically go through the whole, telling them the disciple John wasn't killed, maybe because he was loved by the Lord more than. I'm not going to get into that too much because I don't understand why he chose John to live. I mean, I mean, because I did ask, I wondered why, like if you love us, why, why are like we supposed, like why are we supposed to die? Why did we get killed? And yeah, I got my answer. I can't really say it, but if something's worth protecting, it's that much more precious. If that which is much more precious to you is protected, then the enemy, which sees that which is precious to you, is hunted and more or hunted. It's basically targeted more because of it being so precious. It's like, why can't you say it? Say it. Well, I mean, that's essentially what I guess that's essentially what you said, but I'm just rewording it to how I understand it is if something you if you have something that is precious to you, that is very precious that you want to, have in your I guess your will. It's a better way to put it. And you want to you treasure that which is precious to you. Your enemy, the enemy seeing you that is loving what is precious to you, hates it much more. So therefore it wants to destroy it much more so than other things that you have that aren't. I mean, that's a really messed up way to say it, but I mean, I don't know how else to. I know this is ungodly, but I often feel jealous of babies that were miscarried or aborted because they got to go right to heaven, and I'm right there with you, man. Not have to be on this awful earth. Yeah, yeah, they get a free ticket to heaven. They don't have to because they're not corrupted by the world like a music ministry, like a music ministry. Yeah, I guess like a music ministry, Satan's gonna see the things that God wants to do through, me or other people, with their talents that God's given them. And Satan hates that. And he's I mean, I already know he's discussed with me. I've met Satan like twice. That makes me sound very deranged, but no, I mean, I've to the disgusting, vile, there's no words to really put. I don't know how much longer I can go here because they're probably going to tell me to leave pretty soon. But I'll keep going as long as I can. That's not ungodly. I know abortion is wrong. Abortion is wrong. But I don't understand why God lets some people go home so quickly and others have to be here. It's all poor. Yes, yes, unfortunately I did. But that was again, that was on purpose. Jesus wanted me to meet him. Like when I met Satan, I was by myself and I was like surrounded by all of these demons. And Satan had possessed a man that was sitting right next to me. And I was in one of those like boarding houses, whatever. And he was essentially rocking back and forth with a grin, you know, it was real creepy. Yep. Of course, this wasn't really much of an introduction. It was more like, you have to see this. And I did. And it scared me because the evil that was coming off of his presence was just too much. I mean, I could feel anger and maliciousness and just destruction like you wouldn't believe. I didn't know what to do in that situation. And I was like, um, I'll just say it was way too much for me to process or comprehend when it happened. And I was scared because, Jesus wanted me to meet him face to face without him there so that I understood what we're up against for those who don't know Christ, for those who are not saved and are facing an enemy like that and don't have the protection. He wanted me to understand, like you have me because you accepted me, but these people don't have me. So therefore, what you're seeing here and what you're feeling is what they're feeling because they feel the world is wants to destroy them because it does. He wants to destroy them, and they need to know that they're being destroyed and they're being manipulated and they're being corrupted. And so that's basically the lesson he wanted me to know. And um, that was the longest meeting I'd ever had with somebody I didn't want to be around. I met Satan 3 days after I met the Lord. Yeah, similar deal with me. And you said something before. Sorry, I don't want to leave any comments out. I know it's say it. Okay, yeah, so say it. Yeah, so that's basically what how he explained it to me was when you have something that's precious to you, that's very precious, that is in the pearl of your eye or the apple of your eye, and you see it and you want to cherish it, and you want to like you have a specific purpose for it, and it's very precious. Your enemy sees what is precious to you, or precious to God, and he wants to destroy it. He wants to absolutely annihilate it before it can be used because he doesn't want that, because he knows that God's pouring his spirit into those that have the specific gifts that he wants to use and to find more souls in the world. And Satan wants to end our lives. He basically, for those that are being used by our Father to bring more souls to the kingdom, um, you know, Satan wants to destroy us as fast as he can. Like right now, I feel like I'm on borrowed time because every second that I'm alive, that I have a breath, is another second that Satan can't wait to dig his claws, or well, not claws, but can't wait to dig his instruments of death into my neck. And he can't wait to destroy me, because he knows that the longer I live and the more people I talk to and spread the truth about God's kingdom and share life with them, the more people that I share life with Jesus, being you know what I'm saying, the more people that I bring to Jesus, the more damage I'm doing to Satan's false kingdom, and Satan doesn't want that. And so because of us being elected by our Father to do his work and to bring more to the kingdom, we're elected to die. That's pretty much it. Not to say that those who are living in Christ aren't, important, because they are. Everyone who is doing work for the kingdom is important. But the who God chooses for what specific jobs he has, I don't know. He could, but he has a specific reason for it. He's perfect, and he wishes that no soul should ever perish. And that's why he gives the world the amount of time, the time that it has now, because he wants every soul to hear the gospel and to hear the truth, and so that they can turn away from their sins and they can come into the kingdom. Now, Satan and his followers are shit out of luck. They don't have time. Like they've when you try to take over the God of heaven, when you try to take over his throne, you better believe that that's the one and only chance you ever had, and you just blew it. And so he has no need for anything like that to be in heaven or earth or anywhere. And they know it, and they are angry and bitter at it. And hey, look, it's 2 hours, 22 minutes, and about to be 22 seconds in the live feed. Haha. And there it is. There it is. Well, yeah. I just saw that. I just wish I knew them more. Yeah, like charities brought 200,000 Islamic Somalis to Minnesota. What's a Somali? I want to look that up. Islamic Solami. No, that's salami. Salami. Are you spelling that right? Salami. The village. Oh, there are people. Okay, it's Soma. Oh, I'm spelling it wrong. Somalian. Somalians. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, okay, Somalian. Oh, and why? Why do they do that? I don't understand why they would do that though. Oh wait, are they persecuted from in their country? Like are they being hunted right now? And that's why um one of them is a congresswoman now. Oh wow. Wow. Okay. I mean, I hope that they can, come to God and accept Jesus. They want to usher in the one. Oh, okay, that's not good. All right. So I didn't want to. I heard Islamic and I thought, maybe these people are running from, like their religion because their religion wants to kill them because they've denounced Islam. But yeah, no, Islam is already here. People don't want to admit it, but i- Islam is basically they're basically invading every country by quote unquote migrating as like immigrants or traveling and just playing it off as like they're just traveling, and they're setting up camps. They're teaching their young how to kill and how to behead people, and yeah, we're in for a rude awakening when the tribulations start. Because and mark the calendars. Once Jerusalem finally gets the go ahead to build their temple, that's when the 70th week of Daniel starts. Remember, the 70th week of Daniel. In a week in the week of Daniel, the 70 weeks of Daniel is a period of 7 years. So when that 70th week starts, that is a 7 year period where the temple will be built. And around the middle of that time, the temple is going to be desolated by, excuse me, the man of sin. That is when the tribulations are going to take place. And then after that, after the tribulations are done, there's going to be a time where that one world religion is going to pretty much reign for a time. I don't know how long. Not very long, very short period, but we don't know. And sometime between after the tribulations is done and that one world kingdom is basically reigning on the earth, um, Jesus is gonna show up, and everything's gonna go straight to hell, and the sun's gonna go dark, and yada yada, etc. You know the rest. Yeah, they wanted to usher in the new world religion. 43 and half. 1335. Oh wow, yeah, you did. I mean, I don't know specifically. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not trying to get no degree in like theology. I'm just you know telling people what I know. But yeah, okay, so 1335 days. I'm not going to quote anybody on that. I'm not going to say like, oh, it was only 1334 days. What's wrong with or you know, but good for those numbers because and it's going to be scary too because when this happens, that's what the Bible says to expect. Yeah, I would love that verse too because that would actually help with teaching people, myself included, what's the specific time frame of what's to come. I only know the 70th week of Daniel because that was very important on like the tribulations and whatnot. But I forgot what I was talking about before. What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought. Cow, I forgot my train of thought. Um, I totally forgot my train of thought. It was something about the Revelations. Oh, the seven vial judgments. So that gnashing of teeth that people are hearing about, that's zombies. That's when people who are on this earth are going to wish that that they could die. They are not going to die. Um, I I'm so sorry for those people. Okay, and you asked about the Great White Throne Judgment. That is after the 1,000 years. So after that time, there's going to be a time frame of a short period of when God pours out His wrath onto the earth, and the earth is basically going to just feel this time without God's love, and it's just going to be scary because death will not come to you. Because the thing is, the only places you can go is either in paradise or in hell, and at the end of that time, which is already come, you're going to be either taken to heaven or hell's just going to come onto the earth, and that's where you are. Your soul is basically like there, like you can't go anywhere else. No matter if you're cut into pieces or if you're eaten alive or whatever, you are stuck. And that's going to go on for a time after the marriage supper, because the marriage supper is going to take place. How long, I don't know. It's just going to be a celebration. There's going to be music, dancing. It's going to be pretty. It's going to be nice and awesome. It's going to be very beautiful. It's going to be lots of food and vine or grape fruit of the vine. I guess what they called it was wine. Yeah, fruit from the wine, the vine. And after the marriage supper, um, Jesus and his saints are going to come down and Jesus is going to set foot on the Mount of Olives, and he's going to go in through the eastern gate of Jerusalem, and he's basically going to establish his 1,000-year kingdom on the earth. And in this kingdom, a new earth is going to, like, the earth is going to be remade into a new place. Satan and his angels are going to be bound up and thrown into the pit. They're going to be away from the earth to ever influence for those 1,000 years. They're not going to have anything to do with the earth. And Jesus and his saints are basically going to be given dominion. Persevere to the end. Read Daniel 12:12. Yeah, I'll read that in a sec. And Jesus is basically going to give dominion of the earth to the saints and to different parts of it. And during the 1,000 years, so the saints, Jesus, and basically everybody who is with God is immortal. You just have an immortal body. You never age. You're just eternally eternal. It's just forever. And there are going to be mortals on the earth, the new formed earth. And they're going to be they'll be born and have lives like we do here, except the only difference is there's not going to be any influence for sin. In that world, there will be no sin. There will be no reason for you not to know the Father, not to know his judgments and know his law. There's no reason at all, because you're shown the truth. Jesus is teaching you. So are the saints. They're showing all this visually. No, I'm not blessed enough to be able to see the new earth, although I would love to have seen the new earth. But with what he told me, even that in itself was just more than I deserved. But the new earth is going to be without sin. Of course, those who are born onto that earth are going to have the choice to do. So what you're teaching is what he told you, essentially. It's here. I'm sure it's here too. I haven't read. Just being honest, I haven't really read that far into Revelations. I know it's in here. Like I know. If I read further along, like it'll say it here. Like so funny. Yeah. I mean, I know that's here because I'm sure I skimmed something that said something along those lines where, there's 1,000 years kingdom. It's okay. I'm just curious whether he showed you or told you. No, I didn't. It'd be awesome if I got to see it, but no. No. It's all there. You clearly were with him. Yeah. But so basically, people are going to be mortals and they're going to be immortals. Of course, you don't hear this in the sermons nowadays in churches because I don't know why. I don't know why. But the mortals are basically going to learn from Returning the Kingdom. Yeah. They're going to have no reason, and they're going to live normal lives like you and I. Of course, the difference is they're going to have no reason to say, "Oh, I didn't know," because there's no sin influencing the world. Satan doesn't have his grubby little hands on it, making you, whispering in your ear, saying, "Hey, you need to do that. You need to do that." Like he's not going to be here to be able to tell you what to do. So those who live on the earth and hear the teachings of Jesus and the saints, and they continue to live their lives, are after they die, they're going to be put into. Their souls are going to go to paradise again. Same deal. First time around, except paradise or not so good paradise. And I pray for those. Well, you shouldn't pray for the dead because they already received their rewards and their punishments. But anyways, at the end of the 1,000-year reign on the earth, that's when the great white throne judgment is going to come up. And Armageddon's going to come right around that time when Satan gets loosed from his prison. He's going to be let loose again. He's going to come on the earth and he's going to say, "All right, mess with next." He's basically gonna say nothing changed. Nothing changes with his attitude. He's still gonna be that guy. It's like, all right, who am I gonna destroy next? Who am I gonna get? That's just what he is. And so he's gonna round up all people. He's gonna basically, whisper lies into people's ears and be like, "Hey, you should that girl, she did this. Oh, hey, that person really did you wrong, didn't it? You did amazing." And he's gonna like basically confuse and persuade the world that's living at that time to go against God or Jesus' holy city, which is Jerusalem. The saints are basically going to be they're basically going to be at the city of Jerusalem. I don't know how they're going to go there. I mean, they can. I don't know. With God, anything's possible. I mean, I'm pretty sure the saints can probably just go to and from. I don't know how you just do, and they're basically going to be at the city, and these people are going to come rushing at the city of Jerusalem, wherever that is. It's probably not going to be where the Jerusalem is right now. It's probably going to be in a different location. I don't know. You know, uh, and they're going to rush the city, and they're going to be attacking, and Satan's going to get all fight against Jesus and everybody, and God's just going to smite them. He's just going to smite everyone who goes against the city. And there's going to be some people who aren't going to go with this idea. Some people are going to say, "No, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fight the city." And they're probably going to be persecuted too, just like we are this time around. But anyways, so most of the world is going to be rushing the city, and it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, quite literally a bloodbath. It's I didn't see. I mean, hearing what's to come still shakes you to your core, even though you don't really see it. Not like the other stuff, like with the zombies and like that was scary. That was the terrifying. Absolutely, like that I did see. That I was like, it was like being right there. But this, um, it's still very scary thinking that, because after these people are killed and like they're just destroyed, God just smites them and destroys them. Everyone at the end of the thousand, and this happens at the end of the 1,000-year reign. After that, everyone who wasn't given life before judged the first time, before the 1,000-year reign, is going to go straight up to the white throne judgment seat, and that is when God is going to judge. That's when these people are going to taste second death if they continued in their sins and chose to go against God's word. Now, not everybody who is judged in this time around is going to hell or the lake of fire. I'm sorry. Some are going to be sent to heaven. They're gonna, he's gonna see that they repented of their sins, they accepted Jesus as their savior, and that they continue to live the life that God would want them to live, and he'll bring them to heaven. And this is the part that I can't stomach, because these people, Satan and his angels, are going to have their take in the lake of fire. They're the ones who are going to be thrown and cast in there first. The ones who are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. But I don't know where that came from. But yeah, so Satan and his angels are going to be cast into the lake of fire, and then all the souls who followed in the world's teachings and lust after sins and did disobey God and whatnot, everything is going to be put on blast. Like their whole lives is just going to be this scene for everybody to know of. And also I forgot to mention those who are with Christ, like now, like those who are in Christ now, not 1,000 years later, but now, who died for the kingdom or lived for Christ and are here, they're the ones that are gonna, like, they're not gonna. You're not judged in the second time around, because you've already surrendered yourself to God. You've accepted Jesus as your Savior, and you are saved. You're at that point. You are from like long before the 1,000-year reign, when God called you up into the clouds with Him. You were saved. So you're not in the hot seat like all those other people that are there. Did you see the mark of the beast? No. I don't know what the mark of the beast looks like. I don't want to know what it looks like, but I heard that it's on your right hand and also on your forehead. But likewise, the seal of God is also on your forehead too. So I don't try to look into like whether it's like specifically, oh, right or left, or whatever. I try not to pay attention to superstitions like that, or um like the specifics about that. It's all up to what's in your heart. And if you choose to accept God in your life, then there's no way that the mark of the beast can ever come onto your body, because you've accepted Him. Likewise, if you just continue to run after their sins, there's no way for God to be able to stamp His mark on you and to say, that's mine, that's my son, that's my daughter. um stuff, there's a lot of stuff here and I'm skimming through. I'm basically doing like a little summary or synopsis of like the whole rundown of everything that happens. And it's actually kind of cool thinking that you're going to be immortal, knowing you're going to be immortal. Um, and I just wonder if it could be our iPhone's Apple with a bite taken out, forbidden